Right, now we've printed these jelly papers and they've dried. Some of them have dried really matte. This is the one on black. Here are the stickers. I've tried that one out. It looked really nice on an envelope. Here are some other ones, as you can see. Okay. Right, I just want to show you now, I've printed off my downloads here. Now, I just want to show you the difference between when I printed on white copy paper, ordinary white copy paper, they look like this. And when I print on, I'll put that there so you can see it. And then when I printed on this creamy, slightly creamier paper, I get a much more a sort of antique-y look, really. We can compare the two here. This one I've printed out smaller, obviously, but if you look at the two, you can see that this is slightly more off-white. Now, the cards that I printed were printed on off-white paper, as you can see the difference here. So it makes quite a bit of difference what colour paper you print on. So and this is actually just from a sketchbook. It's quite thin. I would say it's probably about 110 grams, something like that, whereas ordinary copy paper is 80 gram. But I have different what's it called? When I print out, I can change my printer properties so that I can print out and I can hand feed into my printer. Now, I don't know what kind of printer you have, but it is possible to print on different papers nowadays with printers. So, okay, so I'm going to be using, I think, probably the ones that are printed on this slightly yellower paper because I like the look better. So what I need to do now is to find some, first of all, decide which one I'm going to use. I think I'm going to use this one and this one to start off with. So basically, I think we'll just cut this out like this. And then I'm going to tear around the edges because I want a torn edge. So when I tear, I always, the piece that I'm left-handed, so you'll probably have to work this out yourself, but if I don't want to have a white edge, I'll just show you on, we can show you on this. What does a white edge look like? A white edge looks like this, so you end up with a white edge here. If you look at the opposite side, it has no white edge. Now, I don't want a white edge, so I'm going to hold the piece that I want to keep in my right hand. You would probably do it in your left hand if you're right-handed. And then I'm going to tear away with my other hand. And I'm using my thumbnail to rip it. Now, this paper rips fairly easily. So I'm tearing away. And that has the white edge, and this doesn't. So we'll do it again. I'm going to hold this, the piece that I want, pull it towards me, and the piece with the white edge that I don't want, I'm tearing away from me. So once again, I'm doing this, and as you can see, I'm not actually tearing exactly on the edge because I don't mind if it's not perfect. I might even just take that bit off as well. Okay, so now I've got my piece of paper here. And now I'm going to look for, just get rid of those torn pieces. Now I'm going to look for some paper, some jelly paper, which goes nicely with it. And there's some nice turquoise there, so I might well use that. This is the piece of magazine paper that I printed. Now, if we look at that, that's not bad either. There are maybe some areas with turquoise on that I could use. So I'll keep that one as well. So I've got those two. Do I want any more? Let's see. There's some dark pieces. Very, very purpley. So I think I'll avoid that. Then there's this. This is rather nice with the turquoise. I think that could work. So I think I'll keep this. This is on the gold paper that I printed on. That's a bit purpley as well, actually. So I don't think I'll use that. And then I've got some others as well, but I'll leave those for another design. So, okay, let us take the pieces that I've chosen. And now we're going to bring out the piece of card that I'm actually going to be using for my card. So this is going to be placed somewhere on my card. And I mean, I could do it that way. I like to do them vertically. I think vertically is nicer. So I'm going to sort of place that there. Now what I want is I want some little background bits. So I'm just going to tear a bit of this and see what that looks like. Also tear the end off up here. So let us see what this looks like. So there we've got that, and then I'm going to have that in the background somewhere, or maybe down there. Then I think we'll take a piece of this red, and maybe I'll take a bit of this. Let's see. And I don't want the straight edge there. So I've got that bit as well. And sometimes I quite like to put the two together, put one on top of the other, for example. So that would work too. Then let's have a look here. Here were these sort of goldy turquoisey pieces. Those I like as well. So we'll take that, put that there. So now I've got a few pieces that I actually quite like. And then we can see where we're going to put this, where we're going to place this here. And that can, of course, be on top, or it can be underneath. It doesn't really matter how I put it together. Now, I'm not just going to have pieces of jelly print. I'm also going to use pieces of ribbon. So I've got some ribbon here. I've got some red ribbon, and I've got some green ribbon. This is velvet ribbon, and that can be quite nice as well to put on. Then I've also got sari ribbon, and I don't know if you've ever bought sari ribbon. We have an amazing shop nearby that sells clothes for people who are interested in medieval clothes and medieval life, really. And they sell these, and these are sari ribbons which they sell. And basically they're sort of offcuts from saris which have just been knotted together. So what happens is you get lots and lots of different, let's see if we can open this out, lots and lots of different colours in the same piece of ribbon. And they are just fabulous. And you can see there's a lot of gold in this one, but there are also some bits of red. And what I quite like to do is, because I never really use them as ribbons, is cut off my favourite bits. Of course, I'll be left with some little bits left and stuff, but that doesn't really matter. So let's see here. I've got another bit there that's sort of peachy colour. Take that there, have that as well. And then see if there was anything else on here. A bit of turquoise, that could be nice. So I'll just do that. So I've got those little bits there. I've also got these colours which are sort of more greeny. Those are also rather gorgeous. See, there's a bit here as well that's rather nice. Let's see if we can get that bit out. I'll just cut that where it is. And I think we'll do that there. So I've got those little bits. So now I've got sort of glittery ribbon, metallic ribbon. I've got soft velvet ribbon in two different colours. I've got the sari ribbon. Now what I want is I would like some old paper, old book paper. And this is in fact, oh, wrong way up, this is in fact an old ledger. It's not just ledger, it's actually from an old school from like the 1800s. So it says 1888, 89. So this is a school register which I found at a second hand. Oh, I see somebody's written something. Nobody I know. This is from a second-hand shop, but these are just so beautiful. This is old Swedish writing. So if I rip out a piece of this like that, then I can use bits of this. Now, believe me, it was incredible. It was a miracle that I found this. These don't grow on trees. But if you go to a second-hand shop, you can find things like, for example, an old school book. This is an old Swedish school book. And they've got lovely drawings and nice text and that kind of thing. So, I mean, you could use a bit of this as well. That doesn't matter. You know, use whatever you fancy. So I'll just rip out a bit of that as well, so that we've got a bit of that too. Okay. So what do I do with this? So if I'm thinking of putting it together with this, then I will just rip off a bit so I get a bit of text. Sometimes I think it's quite fun to use these little bits as well. These have got numbers, this has got text. Some of it's printed, some of it is handwritten. So I keep that as well, so we'll do that. And then I think I'll take a bit of this book paper as well, just so that you can see how I would use that. Okay, so now what we have to do is put these together, glue them together. So I'll just go and get a glue stick and then I'll show you. Then, once we've glued them, then we're going to do a bit of sewing on the sewing machine. Okay, so I've just fetched my glue stick and I actually just ironed my sari ribbon. Because as you can see, sari ribbon is scrinkly like this, and if you iron them, they're actually quite broad, these ribbons. And you can sort of see the colours a bit better. So I thought that was quite interesting. So we'll see if this is too strong to go with this, but we'll see what happens. So okay, we'll put the ribbons there, and I think I'm going to start off by just tacking down this with a bit of glue, and I'm literally just using a glue stick. Now, I don't expect the glue stick to hold it on for a long time, because glue sticks tend to sort of dry and they're not that brilliant. But it will keep it in place until I start to sew, because I'm going to go down to my sewing machine and sew. So I'm just going to put that down first as a background, and then I'm going to put that down. And for me, it doesn't matter if it's not exactly straight. In a way, it's quite good that I can flip things under here. So I'm just put glue in the middle there. Now I think we'll use this bit, and I think we'll put that there. So I'll just glue that on the back, and we will put it there, like that. I quite like this, that it's slightly loose there as well. Right, now we've got this little thing. I think I might use this one actually here, and let's just tear a bit and put it somewhere. Put it behind there, perhaps. Don't see much of it if I do you? And it doesn't have to be the right way up, because it's the effect that I want. It's not necessarily what it says. So I'm just going to put some glue on there. And then I'm going to just tuck it in behind my picture of my amaryllis. So put that there, like that, there. Okay, so far we've got this going on. Now then, I had this piece of red, and I think I'm going to put that right down at the bottom. I'll just rip that little bit off at the end there. So let's glue that as well. As you can see, I'm not being careful. I'm literally tacking this down with a glue stick so that I can then go ahead and sew on it. So that's there. Okay, right, what do we have now then? Some ribbon. And let's think where we put that. That I like. That I like very much. But possibly I don't want to cover that amaryllis up. So perhaps if I put it there, it almost looks a little bit like the stem of the amaryllis. So I'll just cut it down slightly. And I think we'll put it there. So I'm just going to add, I'm going to add some glue to the paper instead, because I don't want this to show through. I don't want the glue to bleed through too much and ruin my sari ribbon. Okay, there. See what else we've got. We'll just audition these. I don't know if they're going to work. I do like the knot that's the end of there, actually. What does it look like if I... Too much. That's quite nice, because that's almost a bit like a sort of amaryllis. So I quite like that. So I think I'll just cut that bit off there again and tack that down there. I think that's quite nice. So let's put that there. That'll keep it in place for a while anyhow. Right, what about some ribbon? Now, the question is it nicer with green ribbon? I'll just cut a little bit off. Let's see, and we can place it somewhere. A bit of green ribbon, perhaps. Where do we want him? Bit of green ribbon. And then I have the dark red ribbon. Let's see what that's like. Here's the dark red ribbon. And I will cut a bit off that as well. And let's see, how is he? Is that nicer? Oops. It really is a question of auditioning these things to see what happens. And you may be thinking, oh, for goodness sake, you're covering up this. And yes, I am, but really this is just background. The whole thing is just to give it a nice background. So it doesn't matter if I'm covering it up, really. We'll leave those for a second. I've got this little bit of what I cut off there, which is actually quite nice up there. I like that. Shall we have a look and see a piece of this ribbon then? What's that like? That's slightly glittery. I quite like that. So let's cut off a bit of that then and just see what happens. I wonder if I could just put that on under there so that it peeps out on the edge. That's quite pretty. I think that's quite pretty. So I think I might do that. So I'll just put that down there. Obviously, this is my taste. You may be sitting there behind your computer screen going, oh gosh, that's hideous. And, you know, I don't mind if you think it is, because it's my taste, isn't it? And you do what you fancy. I'm just giving you ideas, really. You don't have to like it. And, you know, normally when I do a whole load of these, some of them are more favourites than others. Like if we just show you this one, that's the one that I did last year. And there I've got the paper, the ledger paper, I've got some golden tissue paper. This is jelly print, this is jelly print. And here I've got the ribbons and things. But here I've put a frame round it, so that makes it slightly different. But then the boys were the most important thing. But then if I lift it up, you can probably see here I've sewn with a actually variegated thread, so it goes from white to green to red. So I keep that colour range going in that. So okay, so let's go back to this and see what we think. I'm liking that, and I don't really want to do too much. I think I might try cutting this in half and seeing if I can just use just a little bit of it. There, I think that's quite nice. So again, let's just do a little line there and glue it on. There. Now I haven't any text yet, and I haven't any gold, but what I'm thinking is that I might use some gold paint on it afterwards and see what happens, because there's some areas here that need filling in. And so we'll see what we do. But I think we'll go on to the sewing stage now. I'm just going to let this dry slightly because I don't want to gunge up my sewing needle on my sewing machine with this stuff. So I think we'll just pop that back and a lid on it. Just let this dry for a little, maybe 5 minutes, something like that. Doesn't take long. And then we'll sew it, and I'll show you how I like to sew it. Okay. Right, so it's sewing time, and it's time to choose the thread that I'm going to use. Now, this one is quite pretty. This one has got a bit of turquoise in it and a bit of sort of pinky red. It's milder than that one, which is a lot stronger. That has got sort of grey, beige and a little bit of red in it. This is the one that I used last year on my other card that has got both green and white and red. Could use that, but I actually think I'm going to use one of these. And in this case, I think I'm going to use the slightly milder one, this one that's got a bit more green in it. So I'm just going to thread up the sewing machine, and we'll get going. Right, I've threaded the machine, and now I'm going to start. Now, I've actually increased the length of the stitch to about 4.5, mostly because if you have stitches that are too close, then you'll find that you get almost a perforated edge which can rip. And I don't want that to happen. So I've made them slightly bigger. Plus, the whole idea with stitching is for effect. It's not to sew the thing together. I mean, it will sew the thing together because I've been a bit careful with how much glue I've put on it. But basically, this is for decoration. So let's just get started. You can start any old place. I'm going to start up here. And I'm literally going to just do straight stitch and just try and get a bit of each, and just turn it, get in that bit of ribbon at the bottom, over here to this bit of ribbon, and I'm going to go a bit wiggly. I think I'm going to do a stitch all the way along that piece of satin ribbon there. And now we're back to the beginning. So now I can, if I want, click reverse and see what happens. And then just turn it as I go. And if I want to, I can stop it anywhere. But basically, I'm just trying to tack down these bits of paper, these bits of ribbon. Turn around. I'll just go back and get that bit of sari ribbon at the corner, that little square. Put that down so I don't flip it. There we are. And then turn the card. And it literally is up to me how much stitch I want. And now I've got a bit of everything, and I think I'm just going to go down to the end and stop. And I don't bother to tie it off at all, because I'm going to end up, I'm going to stitch this again. And when I stitch it next time, I'm going to be stitching it all the way along the edge and stitching it to a piece of backing card so that I can write on it. Because if I turn it over, you can see it wasn't even clean on the back. But you can see what it looks like. I don't want that looking like that. I want it to be much more clean so that I can write to somebody. Now this I haven't stitched down. I don't think that matters. Actually, that's still a bit floppy, but I quite like that. So there we have it. It's now ready, and I'll go back now and add a bit of gold, I think, so that we can have a bit of gold paint here and there. I think that'll be nice. Okay.